I was checking my work and I did get one answer incorrect. Try to find it. Hello, my name is Mark, and today we are going to go over the continuing education algebra and functions practice problems. This is the multiplying polynomial expressions, distributive property, and combining like terms section. This is where we're going to be practicing the FOIL method along with other things too as well. This is a continuation of my IBEW full-length algebra and functions aptitude practice test 1. And this is going to go over question number 2. We are going to expand on question number 2. If you haven't done so already, guys, for my two favorite people, make sure that you like this video. If you are new here, subscribe to the channel where I will be teaching you algebra, because I do not believe that you should be paying for something that you already have learned, and I want you to have it all for free here on YouTube. And this is exactly what YouTube is used for. Just want to let you know too as well before I start, the questions do increase in difficulty. So you will see question 1 and 2 be the same, almost the same. They're going to be easy. Question 3 and 4, almost the same. They're going to be medium level. And question 5 and 6 being the hardest, with 6 probably not going to be on the test. But who knows? They might throw curveballs at you, and by the time you're watching this video, they may have updated the test. Who knows? So let's go ahead and start with question number 1. Y equals 2x minus 5, x plus 3. And the x minus 5 and the x plus 3 are in parentheses. When we see this, we're going to have to think that, oh my gosh, something is going on in these parentheses. What do I attack first, right? And when I mean what I mean by saying what do we attack first is you have to refer to PEMDAS, right? We all know that from my previous video. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, right? So in here we have the parentheses, the first P in PEMDAS, the first item, right? I'm just going to bracket it for you guys so you could see. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the FOIL method. So the FOIL method stands for first out in last. So let's just demonstrate it rather than talk about it. So I'm just going to write the full problem right here. Okay, perfect. So we have x minus 5 and x plus 3. So what we do here is we have to get this first item, this variable, and then we're going to multiply it by whatever's over here, this variable. And then we're going to get the same term, the same item, and we're going to multiply it by this number. And then we move on to over here. We're going to multiply this item to this one. And then again, this one to here. Did you see what I did there? I just multiplied whatever was here and to whatever is here. So I'm going to write it all out. So x times x equals x squared, right? Hold on. Let me just write it down for you so you see it. X times x, this is a multiplication sign, equals x squared. What happened here is when we multiply exponents, remember, we add the top numbers, right? So we see that it's x times x. What's really going on is x1 times x1 equals x2, because you have to multiply the top numbers, okay? So what is x times positive 3? X times positive 3 just equals 3x. And we write it like this, okay? The number and then the variable, okay? They might throw you off on the test and put like 4x, or I'm sorry, they might put, write it something like this, but most likely not. I don't see them doing that. But it it kind of makes sense that if you do x times 3, you would put x to the 3, or just x3, not to the 3, but x3. It makes sense for you to put it that way. But how to write it, I don't know what form it's called, but this is the correct way to write these numbers when you multiply them. Okay, moving on. Negative 5 times x, negative 5 times x equals negative 5x. And then negative 5 times positive 3, negative 5 times 3 equals negative 15. So what we're left here is we're left with x squared, 3x, negative 5x, and negative 15. Now, we have to do what we call combining like terms. So x squared, right? X squared, can this be combined with anything that's highlighted? And the answer is no. There's nothing that we could combine with x squared. So we write just x squared. Is there anything that can be combined with 3x? And yes, there is. Negative 5x. Negative 5x plus 3x equals negative 2x. And what about negative 15? Nothing. That's our last term. So when I'm like doing this, I would just cross it out, right? And then we have negative 15, cross that out, and we know that that's our last term. And then we have this 2 that's here, remember? So we did the FOIL method in here, multiplying these polynomials, or multiplying, I think they're polynomials, that's the term, right? Multiplying this part of the expression. I'm not sure if it's really called a polynomial. Okay, yes, this is a polynomial expression. X minus 5, x plus 3. This is a polynomial expression. And this is actually, when we perform the FOIL method on it, this becomes a quadratic polynomial. Okay, you see, I'm still learning terms here, so bear with me. I hope that you are getting the techniques that I'm doing, at least the parts where I'm using the FOIL method and the parts where I'm combining like terms, because this is the most important. Who cares about what they're actually called? Okay, so now we have this quadratic equation. We have these terms here, right? So what I would do next is I would do this. I'll put a parentheses in this, and I put this 2 here. The 2 is what we call a coefficient. This 2 will be multiplied to each term, to the x squared, to the negative 2x, and then to the negative 15. Now, just by multiplying it in my head, this is super easy, but let's just do it together, okay? What is 2 times x squared? 2 times x squared equals 2x squared. What is negative 2x times 4? Or I went ahead of myself. What is 2 times negative 2x? That equals negative 4x. Last term, what is 2 times negative 15? That is negative 30. This is our answer now. 2x squared minus 4x minus 30. That is our expression. So it says here, which of the following formulas is equivalent to this one? Well, I didn't put the answers down, and I do not have answers. I'm just telling you how to solve it. I'm showing you the steps on how to solve it to get the answer choice. Please let me know if you found any mistakes that I made, or if you have any other questions in the comments below. Okay, question number 2. Consider the following formula. Y equals 4, in parentheses, x plus 1, and x minus 6. So, again, this is the exact same problem, so we are just going to get practice. So I would write it all out again, just the part right here, right? I would just remember this. This x gets multiplied by this x. That's the first. Then we go out, x times negative 6, And then we're going to get this 1 because we're already done with this. This can't be multiplied by anything else. We're going to get the 1 and we're going to multiply it by the x. And then we're going to get the 1 again and multiply it by the -6. So let's just write it all out. X times x equals x squared. This is exactly how I would do the problem. What is x times -6x? Or what is x times -6? That is -6x. What is 1 times x? That equals positive x. What is 1 times -6? That is -6. Perfect. And we see here that we have terms that we can combine. That is the next step. So we're just going to do it really quick. X squared, what is -6x plus 6? That equals -5x minus 6. There's nothing else that we could do with this problem. There are no other terms that we could combine together. So I'm going to put this in parentheses and I'm going to tag this 4 on. And that 4 is from over here. It's the coefficient. What is 4 times x squared? What is 4 times -5x? And what is 4 times -6? Really quick, let's just do it. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times -5x is -20x. And then 4 times -6, that is -24. Now, this is our final expression. Wow, it boxed it up for me. How cool is that? All right, so did we get that here? We use the FOIL method to multiply this with the parentheses times parentheses. This is multiplying polynomial expressions, right? This is the polynomial expression. We multiplied it together using the FOIL method. And then what we got here is this quadratic polynomial expression, of which we got the coefficient and multiplied it with the terms inside the quadratic. And then we did our best to see if there were any terms that can be combined again. And we determined that there are no terms to combine, and this is our final answer. Perfect. Now, question 3, increasing the difficulty. All right. So 3, and then in parentheses, 2x minus 1, and in parentheses again, x plus 5. So the difference here is just this 2x. That's it in this equation. So what is 2x times x, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do the FOIL method again. 2x times x, 2x times 5, -1 times x, and -1 times 5. Okay, for the sake of this video and to help you out, we're just going to write it all down together. So 2x times x equals, what does that equal? 2x squared. We just tag along this 2, multiply the x's together, and remember when you multiply exponents, you add them together. So it's x1 plus x1 equals that x2. And we tag along the 2, and that's how we get 2x squared. Okay? What is 2x times 5? All that is 10x. What is -1 times x? -1 times x. All that equals is -x. Now what is -1 times 5? All that equals, that's an easy one, -5. Perfect. We have all our terms and we're going to just combine them. Okay, so 2x squared plus 10x minus x minus 5. Right here, we have something we can combine, and 2x squared plus 9, because 10x minus x equals 9. You could also think of this in your head, 10x minus 1x, 10 minus 1, and that equals 9, and then carry that x. Perfect. And then we go and do this, minus 5, and then we put this in parentheses, carry over that 3, and then just multiply this 3 with each term again. Easy. And then we get our answer, which is, I'm going to erase this up top. We get our answer, which is 6x squared plus 18x minus 15. Perfect. That is our answer. And then we find it within the answer choices here. And then we move on to the next question. The only difference here was we just tagged along that 2x times x. That's it. These questions should be easy and you should do them fast. Okay, next question. Okay, now we have a fraction. Okay, this may be a curveball. Okay, I've seen this before. I've seen this on the test. When I took it, there were fractions, and fractions are my enemy. Fractions, and as well as like patterns like this, like you have 4, 1, and then you have this 4, 2, and then like this 4, 3, whatever these are called. I'll figure them out in the next section when these problems do come up, but those are my weakness too as well. Fractions in general, I hate fractions. They are my enemy. Okay? Are we tracking? Are we doing good? Okay. Go get some snacks. Okay, we're going to be here a while and you will be studying more than one video. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. What is x times x? Okay, we're going to go through this fast. I'm not even going to put the lines here for the FOIL method. I'm just going to go along with it. X times x is x squared. Okay, x times 3 is 3x. Negative, okay, here we go. Negative 1/2 times x. Oh my gosh, I'm going to write this one out, okay? Negative 1/2 times x equals negative x over 2. Oh, I hate that. Or for the sake of this video too, I would write it like this, so it won't confuse us. Negative 1/2 x. That's it. Okay, I wouldn't do it like this. And then what is negative 1/2 times 3? So negative 1/2 times 3 equals, remember when you're multiplying this, it's going to be like 3 over 1. Okay, if you have a whole number, it's 3 over 1. And then you multiply it like this. That's how these are multiplied. Okay, so it's going to be 3 over 2. I don't know if this is correct, but I know this, when you just, this is what's going on. The 3, when you have the whole number 3, you put a 1 over it, and that's how you multiply it. That's how it looks like. So really it's like this, and then you multiply it like that, 3 over 2. So we get 3 over 2 for the last term. So you kind of have an ugly question, an ugly equation. So to write everything out, we have x squared plus 3x minus 1/2 x equal 3 over 2. Okay, or not equals 3 over 2, equals plus or minus. It's minus 3 over 2. Oh my gosh. Minus 3 over 2 because it's a negative 1/2 times 3. Okay, so we have this. Let's combine our like terms. Okay, x squared. Okay, what is 3x minus 1/2 x? That equals plus or positive 2.5 x minus 3 over 2. Okay? Yeah, it's ugly. It's getting ugly. Do you know what 3 over 2 is? That is 1.5. We could write 1.5, but I'm going to stick with 3 over 2 because we're going to multiply. 2.5x as a fraction is x squared plus 5 over 2x minus 3 over 2. Okay, I'm going to write it all as a fraction just so it's all uniform, because when we multiply with a 4, it'll make sense. Okay, right now it's ugly. Okay, I hate fractions, and this is why I hate fractions. It gets ugly. But let's go ahead and solve the expression. So multiply this 4 with each term. So we get 4x squared plus, what is 4 times 5? 4 times 5 is 20, and then over 2x minus, what is 4 times 3? That's 12 over 2, okay? Now, we're not done here, okay? We're not done here. We still have to divide, right? We can divide this right here by this. And we can divide this by this number by this number. So our final expression will be 4x squared plus 10x minus 6. Now it becomes beautiful and not ugly. Okay, you might have to go through this ugly to get this. It all will make sense when you multiply the coefficient or like the last step. Right? It gets all ugly on the test until you get to the last step. Then you're like, oh my gosh, it makes sense why they did this. I don't think they're going to give you an ugly answer. I hope not. They'll make you go through the ugly, what I call the ugly, to get to the answer, and the answer will look pretty. Okay? So, moving on. Next question. All right, increased difficulty. Why? Because there's a negative here. There's a negative coefficient. Everything turns negative after we use the FOIL method and solve this part of the equation. So let's just go ahead and use the FOIL method again. So what is 3x times 2x? 3x times 2x equals 6x squared. What is 3x times 5? 3x times 5 equals 15x. What is negative 4 times 2x? Times 2x, that equals negative 8x. What is negative 4 times 20? Negative 4 times 5, equals negative 20. See, I get ahead of myself sometimes. Now we look at what's going on over here. These two terms can be combined. So 15x minus 8x, that equals 7x. So our expression now becomes, I'm going to tag along this 2, and then 6x squared plus 7x minus 20, okay? And then we multiply this coefficient by each term, and then we get a negative, okay, negative 12x squared, negative 2 times positive 7x, that equals negative 14x. And then negative 2 times negative 20, and remember, a negative times a negative equals the plus sign, positive, okay? Positive or plus 40. And we are done here. This is our final answer. Negative 12x squared minus 14x plus 40. All right, question number 6. All right, this is going to get ugly. This most likely will not be on the test, but this is good to practice because the harder the questions are, the more you will be ready for the easy questions on the test. Okay? So again, the FOIL method. Okay, what is 2x times 1/3? Oh my gosh, that is so ugly, but all that equals is 2/3 x. That's all that means, okay? It's not that bad, but it's oh, I'm sorry. I multiplied these two already. So let me start over, okay? Don't do it like this. All right, let's start over. That's what not to do, okay? What is 2x times 3x? That's what we do first. 2x times 3x equals 6x squared. What is 2x times 1/3? 2x times 1/3 equals 2x over 3. Or it could also be written as 2/3 x. Okay? Either way, it's the same thing. Okay? What is negative 3/2 times 3x? Oh my gosh, this is going to look ugly. But this is 9x over 2, negative. Okay? What sucks about this problem, what sucks is that these two, right, they don't have the same bottom number, same denominator. Okay, and we're going to have to do something to make sure they have the same denominator. Okay, again, I don't think this is going to be on the test. Okay, and I'm going to have trouble explaining this because I know what to do, but I might not know how to explain it. So what is our last term? Oh, we did our last term, right? We got, we did this. Did we do -3? Yeah, we did this. And our last one is this. -3/2 times 1/3 equals. And then when you multiply, you just go straight across. Okay, so it's 3/6, and it's a negative. And to simplify it even more, it's just -1/2. So these are our terms, 6x squared, and then 2/3 x, and -9/2x, and -1/2. Now, okay, I'm just gonna write these right here. 6x squared plus 2/3 x minus 9/2 x, or 9/2 x, and then -1/2. You're going to pray that they do not put a problem on the test just like this. But if they do, you will be ready. You will be armed with knowledge. Okay. Because Daddy Mark gave you the knowledge. Okay. So we have this, and we have to work with this over here, okay? We have to combine these because they can be combined. Their denominators are just not, they don't match. So what is a common denominator of the two? Okay? And the common denominator of the two is 6. So how can we get the denominators to 6, right? So for 2/3 x, right? And I don't even want the x. Let's just get the x out of here. I want to get to 6, I have to multiply by 2. I have to multiply, or oops. I have to multiply the bottom and the top by 2. Okay, I think that's how you write it. I don't know. So I get 4/6 x. And then with 9/2, -9/2, I have to multiply to get this to be 6. I have to multiply the top and the bottom by 3. So we have -27/6. And then we carry that x, right? So now we can work with this problem. So 4/6x minus 27/6x. And when you do this, when you minus now, and the denominators are the same, it's possible. We can do it. So +4 minus 27, you just deal with the top numbers. That equals -23/6. That is still ugly, and I don't like that. That's what it equals, though. All right, -23/6. So we have 6x squared. I'm hoping that this is right because I'm going to check my work and see if I messed up. Okay, I do not have the answer key for this. This was just all by the whim. Okay, so hopefully when we multiply by the coefficient, we will get something pretty. So 6x squared minus 23/6x minus 1/2. Get that bad boy right there. Put that 6. We get 36x squared minus, what is 23 times 6? Oh my gosh, I don't know what 23 times 6 is. 23, oops. 3, 6 times. That's 8, 1. 6 times 2, it's 138. Oh my gosh. 138 divided by 6, x minus 6 over 2. Okay, I don't know about this. Let's break out the calculator. 138 divided by 6. Oh my, what? This is, well, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I see what I did here. So the answer is this, 36x squared minus 23x minus 3. This is the answer right here. This is it. We're done. So I saw what we did here. So 23 over 6, so the 6 can get canceled when it multiplies to this fraction because we're dividing it by 6 anyway. So that's why we get the 23. I didn't have to do 6 times 23 to get 138 and 138 divided by 6 because look at what happens here when we multiply it, then we divide it again because all division is multiplication backwards. You get 23. You feel me? So that's the answer. And just to check, okay, I'm going to ask ChatGPT right now if that is the expression simplified. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that right now. 6, simplify this expression. So y equals 6 2x minus 3 over 2, and then 3x plus 1 over 3. All right, let's see. Make sure that's the right equation. Use FOIL, exactly what we did. We got this, 2x over 3 and negative 9x over 2. Last term is negative 1/2. And then we have to combine the x terms. Remember, like what I said there, you're going to get this ugly equation. We have to make sure the denominator is 6. Okay, and it did exactly this. Remember, we got the denominator to equal 6 when we multiplied by 2 and 3. And then we got 4x minus 27x equals 23x. We carry everything over. It's negative 23x over 6. And that's our equation that we work with. 6x squared minus 23x over 6 minus 1/2. Okay. Multiply everything by 6. We get 36x squared minus 23x minus 3, baby. So I still got it. All right. Cool. Perfect. All right. So we did it. That's it. I hope that you've gotten a grasp of the key concepts here, which are to use the FOIL method, right? First out in last, and then you get your quadratic polynomial equation expression, and then you carry that coefficient, and then you multiply that coefficient by each term, combine like terms if necessary, and then there's your expression. Sometimes you might get an easy question, an easy equation, right? Where you don't have the where you do not have the coefficient. You're going to get something like y equals x minus 7 and then x plus 4. Okay? And then you use the FOIL method and you get x squared plus 4x minus 7x minus 28. And then you get x squared, combine like terms, right? Combine these, minus 3x minus 28. And there's your answer. This is your answer right here. Boom. And then if you have that coefficient, then multiply the coefficient. But maybe you might get lucky and get this right here. Okay. One more problem I do want to go over before we end the video that I did not see on this this continuing education practice problem list. We didn't get one of these. So y equals 2x squared plus 5x to the 4th minus 1. Okay, we didn't get these where we add or we multiply these exponents. that are greater than 1, the exponent being greater than 1. Okay? So, use the FOIL method again. 2x squared times 5x to the 4th. What does that equal? Multiply these two numbers. That's 10, right? And then multiply these. X squared times x to the 4th. Remember, you add the exponents. When you add the exponents, you get x to the 6th. Okay? Easy. Now you get 2x squared times -1 equals -2x squared. Then you have 5 times 5x to the 4th. 5 times 5x to the 4th equals 25x to the 4th. Okay, this is going to be an ugly looking equation. Okay, we're not going to be able to combine like terms. And then you have 5 times -1 equaling 5. Okay, I'm just going to put this 5 over here, -5 here. And then all that's here, right? Or our terms, right? Our terms is all written down as 10x to the 6th minus or plus 25x to the 4th minus 2x squared minus 5. And this is actually our lowest that we can go. But I would not see something like this. I have not seen something like this on the practice, on the iPrep. And I have not seen something like this on the actual test. But I just want you to grasp that when multiplying exponents, you add the top, okay? And when you divide, you subtract, okay? So if you have x squared over x to the 4th, you would have x squared minus, right, the 4. That would equal x minus 2. It's addition when you multiply, it's subtraction when you divide. And let me just check my work there. Yeah, perfect. It's 1 over x squared, which equals x minus 2. Let me see. Hold on. Is 1 over x squared equivalent to x? It is. I think it is. It's all coming back to me. Yes, it's exactly that. X over, or not over, x with the exponent -2 is equivalent to 1 over x squared. We have went over questions 1 through 6 on the continuing education, algebra and functions practice problems, multiplying polynomial expressions, including distributive property, and combining like terms. Again, this was part of my IBEW full-length algebra and functions aptitude practice test number 1. I will make another practice test for you guys once I go over all of these questions. And all I want to do is break down each question with more questions so you can practice. The more repetitions you get, the more you grasp the concepts. The more you grasp the concepts, the better probability that you will pass the aptitude test. I will have videos of the aptitude tests, the practice tests, as well as other videos where you can practice problems. And I will see you guys on the next video. Marky Up Baby out.